You know there ain't no rest for the wicked. Money don't grow on trees. We got bills to pay, we got mouths to feed. There ain't nothing in this world for free. I know we can't slow down, we can't hold back, though you know we wish we could. I know there ain't no rest for the wicked until we close our eyes for good. The Hardcast.
It's time for another violently bullet-ridden episode of the Hardcast. I'm your host, Chris, and today I'm joined by Steven.
The man whose night is so Xeno.
Tonight's review/discussion is about the 2009 sci-fi first-person RPG shooter, Borderlands. Developed by Gearboxs Software and published by 2K Games. Borderlands features up to 4-player online cooperative play. Players can choose from 4 different character classes, each of which has their own unique abilities and skill trees. Set in the distant future, Borderlands takes place on the desolate planet known as Pandora. Lawlessness and chaos are everywhere, but so is valuable alien technology, as well as the legend of the Vault. The Vault is said to contain vast riches and incredibly advanced alien technology. So as a Vault hunter, you must follow the clues and find the Vault keys in order to uncover Pandora's biggest secret. So Steven, were your expectations for Borderlands melted away into corrosive mess? Or would you tell our listeners to catch a ride?
I'll tell him to catch a ride for sure. This game was off the wall. Insane amounts of action. Overall, it's amazing gameplay. It was received very well. Here we are with this review. It's been long awaited. This Borderlands game.
Long time coming, but here we are.
It was very well done. I got to admit, I was completely blown away. I'll get straight into the graphic. You got this cartoony style, shell-shaded graphics. It looks very clean. I was talking to my friend Seaver. He doesn't want to sacrifice too much realism, but he doesn't want to sacrifice too much graphics. It's one of those things. It's just the scale, it flips on whichever side your opinion is based on. I think the less the graphics, the more gameplay. It just looks amazing.
Well, if you don't have too many detailed graphics, then the frame rate can stay pretty consistent. And at the same time, you can have a lot more stuff going on the screen than you could in a game that's very graphically intense.
Right.
So that's sometimes important, especially in an open-world game that has so much combat like Borderlands.
Open world indeed. How everything looks is just clean and amazing. The dust and the rocks, the sand everywhere. You hop into a certain thing, you enter a new area. There's tons of your scenery. You look over the mountains. Of course, there's certain barriers to the game where you can't cross this point, get shot down by lasers.
Invisible walls.
Yeah, but you can look down into the water or these big open fields. You're like, oh my god, I just want to explore. And then it just looks amazing. Even with how it looks, some people don't like shell shading or the comic book style. I loved it. It looks amazing to me.
I was a little apprehensive, but in the end, I thought it kind of looked sort of similar to Prince of Persia mixed with Mad Max style, post-apocalyptic type look where everything's run down and kind of falling apart type style, and it gives that whole vibe of this place is really chaotic. And it also kind of feels like a Western in a way with the lawlessness and the crime everywhere and the chaos and the different gangs you run into.
It makes it look very desolate, empty, nowhere to go, but at the same time you get this huge land and you get pillars and rock formations and it just looks authentic.
Yeah, alien structures and old ruins and all sorts of stuff to explore.
It's very detailed. For instance, the Berserker, his muscle, you see every tear and curve and rip in his muscle.
Oh, would you say he's a big burly guy, Steven?
He's definitely a big burly guy. You know how we like big burly guys on the Hardcast.
Well, I know one of us does, yes.
Let me ask you, if the game was realistic, real-world graphics, it would be nowhere near as good as it looked for a comic book style. What do you think?
Well, originally the game did have a very realistic look. When it first started coming out, I think E3 around 2006, 2007, I think 2007, they had a very realistic, gritty kind of look. They were kind of quiet on the game for a while because the game actually got pushed back a lot. They've been working on this game for a while, and then it resurfaced. They showed the new graphics, and everyone was like, what happened? It's like it was realistic before. Now it's got this kind of weird cel-shaded, although they call it hand-drawn look, and that's what they try to give it, that hand-drawn comic book feel. And at first everyone was kind of resistant, but at the same time they came out and they said, look, we're trying to differentiate our title. We're trying to make it stand out from the crowd. Everyone's doing the kind of Gears of War, hardcore, dark, gritty, realistic thing. We're trying to go in a different route to just stand out a little bit more. And they did stand out. There was a lot of fan outcry. Some people liked it. Some people were kind of like, what, what's going on? The cartoony graphics. And even Seaver was kind of iffy on it. And I was too. I was like, well, I'm there for the gameplay. I like everything they've been talking about for the gameplay. But let me hold off on the graphics so I see them. And then once I saw them, and I remember you guys started playing before me a little bit, maybe a couple hours or a day or so, and I asked you guys, how'd you feel about it? And you were all, yeah, it's cool. It doesn't get in the way of the gameplay. It enhances it, and I got into it, and I was like, yeah, I agree. I do like the style. It gives it a lot of personality, I think, and it does make it feel unique. It goes along with a sense of humor
Yep.
and the comic book style and the personality of the characters you run into. I think everything meshes together on that front. The presentation is solid and unique.
Definitely agree. It was. When you have a game of this magnitude, story is one of those things that suffers a little. It's not this grand epic tale of you trying to save the world. It's just these vault hunters trying to hunt down what's inside that vault. They find out the legend of what happens to it, how many times it opens within its cycles, and you just find the clues, bits and pieces here and there. It's you four guys, the siren, the actual hunter, the soldier, and the berserker. As you four, you're trying to get the support of the townspeople. You go from place to place trying to find clues, people to help you. They give you missions, and you slowly uncover the keys to the vault. It's very simplistic story. It doesn't have to be amazing. It has little quirks and little gems inside the story. During the missions, you find out this and that. And there's quest missions, which is the actual story missions to advance the game. Then there's tons and tons of optional quests.
Yes.
Totally optional. You can skip them from the beginning. I highly don't recommend you skip anything because they're all good in their own way.
But before we go into all the different types of quests, we'll do that soon, which is mention right off the top some of the characters that really stood out. Like, I really like the Claptrap robot. He was cool.
Hilarious.
A lot of
Funny.
personality. He was in a lot of the ads and trailers before the game came out. He made it seem like he played a bigger role in the game than he actually did. I thought he was somebody who maybe held your inventory or something like that. Although he does give you backpacks and stuff when you help him out. They're littered throughout the world of Pandora, and you usually have to do the little quest or whatever to get them fixed. But they're cool. They have a lot of personality. And
there's different ones, multicolored. They all have their own personality. Some are more crazy than others.
But they all got the same voice, though.
They got the same voice, yes. Yeah. They're very funny. There's humongous comedic effect with those guys. The Claptraps are hilarious. They're afraid of getting shot, and, this is the big comedy thing that plays out throughout the game. They're always getting shot. They're always down, malfunctioning. It's very funny watching those guys.
Yeah. And then you got, of course, your favorite, Scooter.
Scooter's the best. Oh, man, I enjoy him every time, man. I just go into New Haven just
How do you enjoy him, Steven?
I enjoy him any way you want to look at it.
From both ends?
He's so funny. Of course, he's got this hillbilly redneck type deal going on. There's other characters that speak like that too. Like for Scooter, he's hilarious. Everything he says is just all gold material.
Actually, some backstory as far as why a lot of the people you run into have that kind of hillbilly hick thing going on. Apparently, a lot of people went to Pandora, and then when they found out how terrible it was to live there, all the people who had money and power and position, and they all left. And the only people who stayed behind are the people who couldn't get off the planet. And basically, the lowest of the low, the people who had no money, no jobs, no nothing. And they're the ones who are still there trying to scrape out some kind of a living, some kind of an existence. So if you look at it that way, they're kind of like the dregs of society, the white trash. And that's who you have to deal with. I mean, if you're trying to look at it from a logical point of view, why are these people talking to me in this redneck twang voice? That's why. They're all that's left. And all the people who could talk properly have left.
Tons of funny dialogue. We'll get into it later, but Scooter's definitely one of those guys. Then you got guys, hard asses like Dr. Zed. You see him towards the beginning, and he's this hard ass, doctor who lost his medical license, but he's still doing operations. Yeah. He doesn't stop doing what he loves best. He plays the part for you in healing. He's got his vending machine where you can buy shields and heal yourself, buy healing items to carry with you. He's definitely critical for your success as a vault hunter.
And the voice acting for all these characters is pretty solid.
Amazing voice acting. The dialogue is rich in this game. There's a gallon of weapons in this game. Like you said, there's a
bazillion. Remember, they had to come up with a new word just for this game.
Tons of different weapons. You've got SMGs, Iridian weapons, which are the alien weapons. You've got assault rifles, snipers, grenades, launchers, everything. Melee attacks. You've got your powers. There's tons of ways for you to inflict damage on
element attacks. You got your corrosive. You got your incendiary, explosive. I mean, they got all sorts of stuff that will add that extra damage effect to your bullets.
Right. You've got regular damage, and then if you're smart, you'll put in your elemental effects, and you'll just pile on the damage. One of the things for me is just with the siren, I can explode, and they're electrified and burned and all at once, corrosive. It's just beautiful. The rainbow of colors is one of those blissful things in this game. You can just pull out a gun, hit them with one fire rifle, take out a corrosive sniper, snipe them in the head or whatever. You'll just see a ton of damage coming out of the enemy. It's very satisfying.
This game has always been mentioned as being extremely hardcore, and we mentioned that in the last Hardcast Prime when we mentioned that video from IGN that was funny. They go all out with this one. I mean, it's so hardcore, like for RPG people, as in and you're shooting people, and